Hi, my name is Esther Carlo, and this is Reviews with Esther. On today's episode, we are going to be reviewing the film that is literally on everyone's lips. I'm talking about Behind the Scenes. Before I dive into the review, I would like to read something that I wrote down, and it says, first of all, I'd like to put it out there that in interacting with literary works, whether it's film, whether it's books, the relatability of the story is always what stands out for me. And the reason is just simple. It's just how it captures our human experiences, especially emotional experiences and mental, challenges or whatever it is that we face as humans, as we are. So that's why. So now back to the review of Behind the Scenes. The premise of Behind the Scene is very simple. It talks about three siblings. We have Aderonke, we have Adewale, and we have Adetutu. Adetutu is the first child, Aderonke is the second, and Adewale is the last. But for some reasons that weren't really explained in the film, we saw that Aderonke was bearing 100%, if not all, yes, 100% of the financial burden of the family. And then this left her emotionally drained, financially exhausted, just catering for her older and younger siblings. So that's just simply the premise of the story. It just talks about, financial burden and how one person, most often or not, is taxed with that responsibility in every Nigerian home. So yeah, that's the premise. Some of the themes that were explored in this film that stood out for me, obviously, are the theme of love. We see how much Aderonke was willing to go for her children. And I mean, that was, to me, that was like the crux of, coming up with the idea to see how our family will react behind the scenes. She wanted to be sure that if she eventually dies or something happens, that our family could actually take care of our children. So that for me is love, and it's something that stood out in the film. There's also the theme of family dynamics. We see how interacting with our siblings, we see how different people come together in a family. And sometimes it is not everybody in the family that is as selfless as Aderonke. Some people will always be at the receiving end to keep taking and taking and taking. And sometimes it can be financially exhausting and, of course, emotional too. So, yeah, that's another theme. I think lastly would be the theme of maybe selflessness. Yeah, let's put it like that, selflessness. I mean, it's good to be a giver. Even personally, I think it's actually worthwhile to give more than receiving. But sometimes we realize that even in your selflessness, know when to stop actually. You can be selfless and know when to give and when not to. So for Aderonke, it felt like she didn't know when to stop. Her friends, even when her best friend Victor, came into the picture, trying to help us see that beyond just helping your siblings, you should take care of yourself. You should take care of yourself. Your selflessness need to get to a point where you need to realize that you just need to know when to stop. And yeah, I think those are really the three things that stood out for me. Relating this story to everyday life, I would say that behind the scene is deeply linked into the Nigerian reality, especially in the family context. We see this everywhere in Nigeria homes. Most often or not, there's one person or two that is bearing the financial weight of the family, and sometimes it can even lead to entitlement. This is something that I've seen play out in most families. Siblings become so entitled that they feel like, oh, you're making money, you owe me this, you owe me that, you do this, you do that. And then at the end of the day, it leaves the person bearing the weight exhausted. You realize you're not even taking care of yourself. And then the question is, if anything happens to you, would your sibling not, move on? Would they not take care of themselves? So for me, if there's a question that this film leaves, it is the question of people that actually carry this financial weight in every family. How exactly do we treat them? How exactly are we considerate of them? Because it is wanting to keep giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. So when it gets to the point where it all becomes empty, how do we react? Who is the person that comes in to, fill us up if we are the ones bearing the financial weight? So this also calls for empowerment in families. Like, it doesn't even make sense that one person has to be doing all of this. There's just a limit to how much one person can do. So imagine everyone is financially buoyant, maybe not as buoyant as we want, but financially buoyant that it can be shared, like financial burdens can be shared to it a great measure. You see that everyone is happy, the frustration is lesser, and yeah, I mean, everything just makes sense more. So this is my thoughts, honest thoughts of behind the scene, because for me, the lessons always stand out, and that's why that is my focus. So have you watched behind the scenes? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Bye.